Hey everyone, welcome back to the No Time for Fun podcast. Oh, we're not calling it. Welcome back to the No Time Records podcast. I am Tommy,
I'm Fern.
and we are a day late recording this, even though we don't have a solid schedule yet because we literally just started doing this. But my power went out last night,
Yeah,
and
that was some weird shit.
they said it would be up at 10:30. It went out at around 7, and I woke up at 3:30 in the morning with everything in my room just turning on. Just like the printer, my laptop lit up, my phone lit up because the it was getting charged, so it lit up. All my fans and shit turned on. I was like, oh god, what's happening?
Oh fuck. Yeah, I was waiting for you, and I was like, all right, Tommy's gonna text me any second now. Literally never did.
I ended up just going out with my roommate on his Postmates orders. But yeah, no power, so that sucked. But now we're here, episode 2. I think people generally liked episode 1. I was very thankful for all the feedback we were given.
Yeah, and just for the record, the YouTube channel actually is at 58 subscribers now.
What did it start at?
Before we were at 40, so we were up by 18. But the thing is that there is another channel called No Time Records, and so whenever someone types up No Time Records, that channel comes up first. So, and they only have 124 subscribers. So as soon as we pass 124, we're gonna when someone types in No Time Records, we're gonna show up instead of them.
It was like when so obviously we're not the first No Time Records, but there's never been any big enough that like you would get confused. But
Yeah.
I remember, hey, this goes into the topic of today's episode about label history. When we were like 7 or 8 releases in, I remember starting with the page was getting tagged and stuff from like bands that I had never heard of, and they were tagging No Time Records. And I check it out, and there was another label that had started, I think, a couple months after us, also called No Time Records. And I was like, well, that's odd. I was like, I wonder why they didn't check. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna message them and like see like what's up. And I told them, I was like, hey, I don't care that we have the same name. I just don't think it's a good idea. Also, I'm not changing ours.
You just put your foot down.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm totally fine if you just want to have the same name and we'll just coexist, but I'm not changing my name. And then they're like, yeah, we like noticed yours after like this last release because the band kept tagging us, and they're like, we're already changed the name, and they're like, we're just gonna release this last tape as No Time Records, and I think they went by Dead Wolf Records or something like that, and they were doing a lot of post-hardcore stuff, so it wasn't even genres that we were like
well versed in.
Into. Yeah, so I was like, hey, could have coexisted, but I think unfortunately the label is folded because I was like, oh, I actually have merch now. It'd be kind of cool to trade with them or like work together. I think it was funny that we had the same name, but I think unfortunately that label folded. But that was I think the only time I've ever had an issue.
Also, on the YouTube, when you type up No Time Records, fun fact, Big Brother has a music video called Straight Out of Ontario, and it's Big Brother Straight Out of Ontario, No Time Records official music video.
Okay, so Chris was telling me that he was not even repping Unknown Records for like the last couple of years, and he's like, yeah, you're our label, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, all right. Well, that also explains Big Brother, Scrap City, No Time Records, a Blank TV world premiere.
I really like when bands when they do promotional stuff like that and always like mention the label. To me, that's like my favorite thing to see, especially because I feel like we get shafted a lot being just a tape label.
Yeah.
Compared to
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, no, everybody thinks like every other label except the cassette label.
The cassette label. And it's just been like a running theme with like a lot of the releases we have. We're like, oh, I'm just not in any of the promo at all. Or like you go on an artist Bandcamp, it'll be like, oh, they got links to all the people put out the record, but not the tape version. Okay.
All right, so we did talk a little bit about No Time Records, but do you remember how we got the name?
So there's 2 stories. There's one story I like to tell because it's my favorite band, at least from Orange County, and I know there's the official story because it is your favorite band from Riverside. So from what you have told me, you came up with the term No Time Records because of the song No Time by Sorta Jelly Beans.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly it.
That is the true story. The I guess the Santa Claus version or the Walt Disney version that I like to tell people is that it's based off the song No Time by F-, and I say it's because it's they're an Orange County band.
Damn, you're fucking ashamed of your roots, dude. What the fuck? You just
So
gotta admit that you fucking like ska sometimes.
yeah, so it's officially the it's from the Assorted Jelly Bean song. When you came up with the logo originally, the initial I guess I call it the like the alarm clock or just like the OG logo.
Yeah.
What because you designed it, what inspired you? Did you just like the idea of just the look of it, the zeros representing no time, or did you put that much?
God, dude, I do not remember. I just remember because we were like, I remember I was talking to Wesley and because we really wanted to get on this. I wanted High Tension to get on this label called, or one of the comps from this label called Demonic Records.
Yeah, and he
Which fuck
fucking
them, fuck
no
them.
that
But
that's a whole nother trash talk
that's an
story.
exclusive podcast right there for sure. But yeah, I
Um,
really wanted to get on Demonic Records, and we sent a song. I don't remember what song it was, but we sent them a song, and he didn't put us on the comp, even though he said he would. And then I was like, hey, you know what? Fuck it, let's just start our own record label. Doesn't sound that hard. So and yeah, I got the name No Time because of the Assorted Jelly Bean songs. Because the Assorted Jelly Beans is like, to me, that was like that super got me into ska core and or like ska punk. Cause like it's ska, but it's really distorted for some reason, and they're very fucking fast.
Especially that album that song is from is to me phenomenal.
Yeah,
How it,
it's
it's
such
such
a
a
good
great.
fucking album, and some of the songs are like jokey and silly, but like they're very, very technical, and they're really fucking good. And I love the Assorted Jelly Beans, and I don't know, just No Time Records, it just rolls off the tongue.
They hit
It's catchy, you know?
they hit incredibly hard. They play incredibly fast. They're such a super aggressive ska band. Even in the '90s,
Yeah,
they were ahead of that because I know obviously I to me I feel with like hardcore and like metal and whatnot, hardcore punk and metal, it gets heavier as time progresses because I think people want that like they want that itch. They want to be the next heaviest band. So I think
yeah,
it's progressing people. Not that all hardcore and punk has regressed to be more like all bands are heavier, but I just feel like in the '90s they were I think a outcast in the sense of how heavy they were hitting, how fast and how heavy they were playing as a ska band.
yeah. And like it all comes from like Voodoo Glow Skulls because they started in like '89. Then that and they influenced like Assorted Jelly Beans and like Falling Sickness, which are like some of the best like Riverside bands, you know, and Standard Issue, but
Riverside '90s.
yeah, Riverside of the '90s. But right now, Standard Issue. The logo? I don't know. I just fucking type. I don't even remember what font that is. I just remember typing what is it, dafont.com. I think that's the font. And I just typed up like alarm clock font. And I don't know, dude. Like graphic design is my passion, and I did like the little dip. And I just thought the 000 was like, hey, there's stopwatch, no time, makes sense.
No, it's off center a little bit. Yeah, but like it that one side of that because it's like a bow kind of shape. Some of that is a little bit more to the left than the other side.
Did I ever tell you graphic design is my
Is my
passion?
passion.
Dude, I
um,
was like fucking what, 18, 19 when I made that
yeah,
fucking logo? I didn't know what I barely started using Photoshop like around that time too.
I was gonna say with speaking of Standard Issue, their new album, "Those Who Came Before," is coming out on June 5th, and we're doing a gold tape of it, and we're gonna have it up for a Bandcamp Day, Bandcamp Friday, June 5th. All the orders are gonna come with their previous EP, Out of Time, and then we're gonna do a drawing. Whoever pre-orders it, you're put into a drawing to win a copy of their previous album, Cost of War, on vinyl. So that's just something to look out for. So I'm excited. I was really impressed with Standard Issue on how good that album is. Have you heard it yet?
Yeah, I have.
I,
I like it more than the LP.
I do too. I really think that Cost of War is good, but I really think they stepped up, and I think they really did record a phenomenal album because I was listening to it multiple times when I was making the tapes. And I was like, this is something special. Mike is an incredibly talented songwriter and a guitar player.
I
We'll get
I,
him on.
yeah, we'll throw him on here. He has a record label, right?
Dysphoric Records, which I think was just how he self-released Cost of War. I think he's done other labely stuff in the past, but I don't know what under what guise.
So the answer is yes. All right, he's on the
Yes.
podcast. He's on the podcast.
But yes,
The barrier to entry for this podcast is very, very low.
so with the logo, so we had called it and had referred to it as No Time Records. We would say, like, I know on the Insomnia Collective and High Tension page, we'd put we are under No Time Records. But to me, the official start of the label is July 26, 2014, when the Bandcamp started and we released the first actual catalog number. Cataloged release, yeah, number one, which was a split between High Tension and Insomniac Collective, which we had previously released both of those songs on a compilation album that I assembled a month prior when I was doing my like graphic arts like freelance work. Do you remember that? Do you remember
Yeah, DIY or
DIY
graphics.
graphics? Which all I was really doing was just black and white flyers for bands.
Dude, that's the best though.
I like never got paid. Like I got hired for 3 jobs and they never paid me. And I was like, literally, I think I was like charging like $10 for a flyer, like not a lot. And it was like hours of work for each one. And I just never got paid. And I was like, yo, fuck this.
This isn't worth it. This ain't worth it.
And then some of the earlier releases, if I did like the layout work or whatever, I had put that like, oh, it was designed by DIY Graphics. But then once No Time surpassed it by like followers, that I was like, I just kind of stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I tried merging the likes into the No Time page, but I was worried about deleting one of the other. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of cool just letting it die. I was thinking about bringing it back as a like No Time flyer design or No Time design, but Facebook wouldn't let me swap out like the username and like the name of the page. And I was like, you know what? I really should just focus on the label anyway.
Yeah.
So
Plus, you do a lot of graphic design, just like for the bands and stuff too. On top of that,
I think I do probably 90% of all the layout work. I'm coming to like for
cassettes,
prepping
cassette
yeah.
layouts. Yeah, for the cassette layouts.
Most of the records that we've put out, I've done the layout work for as well. I did it for Caffeines. I did it for Corrupt Vision. Kreutzer Sonata had it done professionally, which was really dope. And then Abolitionist got theirs done professionally. And then I did it for the next 2 records that are coming out that I can't announce yet. But I really like doing it. I like just making sure it's done like right. Because like if it's fucked up, I have no one to blame but like myself. Because I've done it so much, I just know like what looks good and like it works, you know. But my favorite thing is like watching someone who's never made a J card before try to make a J card. Oh, let's talk about the first release. So we had done those 2 tracks for that compilation album, and then I remember I was just in my room one day, and I think you just messaged me on Facebook. You're like, "Fuck it, we're doing it." You put up the split tracks. You created the No Time Bandcamp page, and you put up the split tracks as the High Tension Insomnia Collective, split NTR 1. And then I looked up artwork because I had that picture of my cat that I had made for a High Tension demo that you ended up not using because you sent off the stuff to get printed before I can get it done.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I was just like, all right, High Tension, Insomnia Collective, cat, logo, boom. That's the first release. And I think we like showed it to like all of our like LA friends of like, hey, we started a label.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Has that ever been released physically?
It's the only not
officially,
not to the public.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, I had made a low run of it on lathe cut, like a 5-inch lathe, and I gave them out to like people who were important to the label. So like personal friends who've helped us. You got one, I got one.
Yeah.
I think I sent some out to like the super like top supporters, like who just bought a lot of shit at that time. I think I still have one floating around somewhere. I don't know what I'm gonna end up doing with it. Probably give it away, but that was the first. That's the only physical copy of it. I thought about doing tapes of it as like an anniversary thing, but I also really don't like how those songs are recorded.
Oh
if you want to divvy into how they sound.
They sound like shit.
With the Insomniac,
they sound really bad.
With the Insomniac Collective, we talked about this last episode. I did my vocals with the PlayStation iToy. That was the only microphone I had at the time, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I was like, I'm just gonna scream as loud as possible. And then you did your best to mix and master it together.
Yeah, I did
Um,
my goddamn best. And again, this is like when we were still all learning how to do literally anything
yeah,
musical related. But the thing is, like around that time, especially like around like people like our age and our peers in the scene, uh, I don't want to say their stuff was better or worse, but it sounded like nearly about the same.
yeah, and that's just because again we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We didn't know who to associate ourselves with, and it was just like, hey, anyone who's down to release, we're like, fuck yeah, let's build this shit up. That first year of releasing, we only did 4 albums, which the second one was obviously the High Tension EP that you went and got recorded professionally, and that's I think it's probably the nicest sounding thing, uh, at least you have ever made. These
Yeah.
tracks sound phenomenal.
Yeah, I
Um,
listened to it the other day and I was like, "Holy shit, this sounds really fucking
it's a
good."
really good album.
Yeah, the songs are pretty fucking good too. I'm not like kinda not like I wrote them or anything, but, I did. Not to toot my own horn, but, toot toot. The songs are pretty damn good.
Sounds got Taquamas as an asshole on it.
God, dude.
It's fucking that's a really solid EP. Let's talk about reissuing that later. Let's talk about doing a High Tension thing later if you're down.
Well, me and Wesley are working on something. Well, we'll worry about that later. But we only released 4 things that the first year?
Yeah, and then the next one was the Three Bag Habit, No Cops for Miles split. And at the
Jesus
time,
Christ.
and at the time, I was super excited about that because No Cops for Miles was like one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah,
And
same here.
it was really cool that they wanted to work with us. And I remember the Three Bag Habit, No Cops for Miles split. Literally, Clinton from Three Bag Habit just messaged Miles, and he was like, "Hey, you want to do a split?" And then Eric's like, "Well, I can't be rude." So Eric just gave him a bunch of different songs from his different releases, and then uh, Three Bag Habit did 3 songs, and yet never made any physical copies of it. And it was just like, here's a split. And then
There it is.
Three Bag Habit then did their EP, which ended up being the first tape we ever did.
Yeah.
Because what I want to do is eventually have to me, I want a physical copy of every catalog release. So I'm going through like the back catalog every once in a while and just making something small. And that was with what I did with Three Bag Habit. Which when he sent me the
Yeah.
art for it, it was originally made with like a meme generator. So it was like, and the memes like circa like what 2000 like 11 memes,
Yeah.
which is the
Impact font.
impact font
Impact
bottom
font.
text. It's
Uh,
it's the bottom text fucking font.
didn't it also have like meme generator,
Yeah, it
the
had a meme.
watermark?
It had a meme generator in the fucking watermark in the corner, which I photoshopped out for the album art for
The cassette?
for the digital version, and then
Bro.
for the cassette version, I actually just found the same photo again, and I just formatted it myself. I didn't use a meme generator.
Jesus Christ. So
And
that was a royalty free photo.
that was a great. Oh, the god! Again, I was just fucking being dumbass kids, going like, "Yeah, this is label shit."
Like,
Oh
what?
god!
You want to release something through us? Fuck yeah! What, meme generator? Sure, whatever. Throw it on.
So that album came out in 2014, but then the tape got made in 2016, which is when the start of No Time Making Tapes was. And I feel sorry for anyone who has one with the full expectation of it, like to listen to it.
Didn't you dub them mono originally? Or?
My first duplicator actually, I was smart enough to get a stereo one. Now the quality of that duplicator was shoddy at best. I remember making tapes, and then our buddy Alex had messaged me. He's like, "These sound atrocious," and I was like, "Oh fuck, what's wrong with them?" He's like, "Dude, just listen to them," and I was like, "Oh god."
Oh
Um,
fuck.
they were fucking atrocious. Again, I didn't listen to them. I thought like, "Oh, this machine works." Yeah, I wasn't listening to every tape like I do now. Um, yeah,
The
it just
quality assurance wasn't there.
I just oh god, yeah. So that got fixed. Those issues got fixed when I was then I did a tape run for No Cops for Miles, which was that was the first newest release. We did a reissue of a
A
new
new diction.
diction
Yeah.
on cassette, which for me was one of my favorite EPs of all time.
Oh yeah, that fucking thing still holds up. It
It's a,
sounds like shit. Like it's recorded really badly, but again, around that time, like it's like it didn't really matter.
it added
It,
to it. To in my
yeah,
person, it adds to it just the rawness of it. Um, but again, no idea what I was doing. We ended up I actually had to make all those on my cassette deck because my duplicator did not work. And I ended up buying a second duplicator shortly after the first one because I wanted to make sure that the tapes sounded good.
Yeah.
The first CD we ever did, back in 2015. This is the first, and this is also the first CD. This is also the first physical release that we ever did, which is the Choking Victim tribute. Load Your
Yeah.
Pipes, the folk punk tribute to Choking Victim, which in retrospect, most of that isn't folk punk.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like there's a couple electric songs on there. Like that's not
The other thing is
folk at all.
it's not even folk punk bands to begin with. They would just play acoustic, or
Yeah,
just flat out not a folk punk band.
fucking High Tension. We're not folk punk.
High Tension was on there because no one else wanted to do
Praise to the Sinners.
yeah, which is, I think, is that the only acoustic High Tension song recorded?
I feel like there's one floating around somewhere. Sketchy's on there. Sketchy, they're pretty damn good, but they're not acoustic.
Floyd and the Wise Guys, that was a joke project between my buddy Tooney and oh fuck, I'm blanking on his name right now. Why am I blanking on his name? Remote Control? Chaos and Control? Yeah, that was Tooney with Chaos and Control. The worst.
Anti-Venom's song is like completely electric.
Which, okay, not folk punk, but also sounds really good.
Oh yeah, it sounds great. I mean, it doesn't come in theme with the fucking album though.
The We the Heathens did. That song is so phenomenal. Their cover of War Story is so goddamn good.
Would you reinterpret Load Your Pipes? Like, to just change a couple things here and there? Because like, a couple of these bands, like, I'm not gonna name who or what band, we took them off.
So we had with 3 of the bands on that album, all for different reasons, because of later allegations or just them changing as people. I had to remove them from that album because I was like, I didn't want to be associated with those bands anymore, due to just really just awful shit. And again, this also came back to us not like vetting properly. And I think that's one of the biggest thing we've learned is like, it's just how to vet people and make sure that the people we're actually working with are like solid people that we want to, put behind. Because I'm really tired of like having to like, disown people that I had put money and sweat and tears into. And that could be a topic for another episode. But definitely, I think just the vetting process of running a label is so important. That also with the I was really proud of that album because that was our to this day still the most popular album we ever released. If you look at the stats of our streaming, that is the highest it has ever peaked. Every single one of those tracks is top 10 highest streamed tracks for the entire Bandcamp. And that was the first physical release we did, which was really cool because it was. I think we made a bunch of CDs and we were able to sell them for like $10 a piece. So I made my money back on the CD very quickly, and I was like, all right, sick. We can like do shit now. I know we had joked about like calling it Reload Your Pipes and like redoing the entire thing with like new bands or letting bands like update their covers and like actually making it a proper folk punk release. But at the same time, it's like Choking Victim is not the most brand friendly quote unquote band to like be working with right now. Maybe in the future, maybe not. Kind of sucks that I can't really fully support that release right now just because of all the literally having to remove people from that album. But it's an idea. But again, the other thing is like, why harp on the past?
Yeah.
Just keep pushing forward.
For people that don't know, 3 songs are actually unplayable on the album right now.
I took them.
On the Bandcamp, yeah.
The only way you would know what those songs are. I think the album is uploaded in full on YouTube if you want to seek them out. If you have a CD, obviously. Then what's funny was also on that CD that I put a secret Heroin Black track, just on the CD version. I think when Crack Rock Steady ends, there's like 10 minutes of blank audio, and then I think I did a soundbite of, I think Stizza's saying something stupid, and then it's more like blank audio, and then the Heroin Black track plays. And it was his cover of I think 500 Channels.
I actually have not listened to that.
Yeah, that was very proud of it at the time, but it's just part of the history, I guess, of the label.
Yeah. What about the No Time for Fun?
Oh man, that shit was so much fun to put together.
I remember being in your, I think it was kitchen, and we're just like, dude, what? Let's make a fucking compilation. Like, what bands can we get? And we were just so fucking stoked on it. Oh, we got we. I remember you were like, dude, I got fucking MC Lars, and I was like, what? No, you didn't. And then you were like, yeah, dude, I got Public Serpents too.
And dude, I was so stoked to get Public Serpents because that was again like my favorite band in high school. One of my favorite bands in high school, and for them
Yeah,
to be on the comp was dope. Stupid Stupid Henchman, Union Jack. I look at this release and I was like, damn, we like never released half of these bands like properly.
yeah. Free
Um,
Fall of Freedom. Holy shit.
yeah, that's like fucking Angel like messages me about that shit, and I was just like, damn, that's like your own. That's like the only song left.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it? I was about to say, I think that is the only released Free Fall to Freedom song,
I think so too.
like
Uh,
recorded.
Free Kick. Um,
Oh god, now they're on fucking Bad Time Records.
that Bad Time Records. They put out that compilation of all their music, and they did a lathe, not a lathe, a flexi. I like that they're getting recognition now. Although it's funny because all the songs of theirs are super super old,
Oh yeah,
but it's
they've
like
been around since fucking 2009.
they've been
I
around
because
for a long
I
time.
found Free Kick when I was like well, I think it was 2011. That's when I found Free Kick. Like
Yeah,
all those cats in Free Kick are fucking they're pushing age now.
you know
They
what's funny
because
is like if you're like on American um, social media sites, they don't look that big, but they're like fucking huge in Japan. Because
oh yeah, they're fucking immense.
Japan, they use a different social networking site, right?
No, they just use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the
Fucking
usual stuff. But
Chris,
they use Twitter like hardcore though in Japan.
Chris from Big Brother was telling me that there was like a Japanese like Facebook that was more popular than like they use Instagram, but there was like a more popular like Japanese Facebook. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, it's called Twitter.
They just use Twitter.
They use fucking Twitter like a lot. Like that's all they use over there because the Japanese respect like anonymity like a lot,
Okay.
and so they just fucking use Twitter like a lot more than Facebook.
I find music like just how bands exist and exist and like work in like different countries very interesting.
Yeah.
America is a very I don't want to say unique, but it's different from country to country of like what it's like being in a band, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, 100%.
it's that like you see like well like oh this band's huge in this country, but I've never heard of them. Well, it's like because you don't need to they don't need that. They're not trying to be an international band, so it's cool, especially when like you can start like uh getting bands more popular in different countries, and that hopefully eventually leads to them being able to tour through and travel the world, which I feel is a common want from like different bands. Like I feel like if you're in a band uh, and touring, I feel like is one of your like biggest goals, right? I know it's not true
Yeah.
for every band, but to me, for us, like I think what you and me want to do, like we want to tour, like we want to go around the world. We want to go to Japan. We want to go to the United Kingdom. We want to go to South America. We want to go through Canada. We want to do all that shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, just get out and see the. To me, I think it's crazy that like we're able to like tour on like our music is what's our art is like what's allowing us to like travel. I think that's just such a great experience.
Yeah, it's such a trip, especially like when we like, cause like we visit cities that I never thought we would have visited. Like I would have never guessed I would have gone to Bremerton or like Seattle, unless like I had to pay like a fuck ton of money. But
Yeah,
we pretty much just we're getting a free vacation out of it.
and like and it's like it's cool because it's like you get to do the band thing every night. You get to play a show every night to different people, and you get to meet so many cool people, and you get to meet all your friends and like see all of them from like when they come through. Like you meet them on the internet, and then you can actually go on and meet them in real life. Like it's such a surreal experience every time we go out. To me, like the biggest like the when we were I was like 18, and I remember Insomniac Collective went on tour, and like just like going over a hill in San Francisco and just like seeing the Golden Gate Bridge, which like to me like going to San Francisco with my music just seemed like so like unattainable, and to just that to me was like the biggest moment of like oh fuck like we're a band, like we're doing this, was just seeing the
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge. It was when we were driving around with Angel in the back of the car.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you want to tell that story?
No, I'm good.
The Oakland Walmart.
I think we could talk about that
Talk
later.
about that later. How that shit was so funny. The whole tour was just ridiculous.
All right, so we talked about No Time for Fun Volume 1.
Um,
Any final thoughts on that release?
and just like I get that was also Inadvertently, well, because that was also released with the first ever No Time for Fun Fest,
Oh
which
yeah, I
was
remember that. Yeah, like
which
one
was
of
at
the very.
Atomic Vapes in uh God,
Good
what was
lord,
it?
I do some fucking Pacoima.
Pacoima,
It
yeah.
was in Pacoima.
We had booked a show there before, and the owner loved us because we were bringing them a different crowd that they would never have normally,
Yeah,
and we're like bringing the punk kid. We're having live music at their vape shop. When they had the night of No Time for Fun Fest, we had 8 bands slotted, 4 acoustic, 4 electric.
electric. Yeah,
Then the owner didn't like tell the person working what the deal was, didn't know that we could go later. So then like the person working like tried to shut us out at like 10 o'clock in the night. And then, excuse me, a lot of people were fighting with the owner at the show. We got banned.
yep. We got banned from Atomic Vapes.
We ended up finishing the show in a parking lot like across the street with like
Yeah,
all the acoustic bands that didn't play. I forget about that show. I was like, that was the first ever No Time for Fun Fest, and then
they just progressively got better. Like especially like like our early days of like booking shows and shit. Like we've gotten so much better at doing that.
oh god, yeah, it's been a learning experience. We did not just start doing this, and it's hard telling people who want advice about this, and it's like I was like, I can tell you everything we did wrong, but you're not gonna know why it's wrong until you do it wrong.
Yeah. You have to fail, like literally you have to fail first so you can understand like, okay, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And then like when I met Alex Posca at that Survey Says show, and
Yeah.
I've learned so much from him, just like how to book a show, how to run a show, how to keep track of money, how to keep track of door, how to like
How to
work
simple
sound and
shit,
shit.
how to mark hands, how to pay out your bands, how to promote, how to get a show, just like basic shit that like
Yeah.
you just don't think about, like everything you have to do.
Yeah, you need to have somebody there kind of like tell you. All right, so the next release I got here is the split 10-inch by the Nightgowns and Days and Days.
So that came to fruition because you look at like all the other releases, and then that one sticks out, and I'm like, how the fuck did you land that? I had gone to see Night Gaunts in LA in 2015, and I had met Paul, who is now like my best friend, and we hit it off, and I told him, I was like, hey, if you guys need a label to run distro for your new album, I'm down to help. We've talked before and stuff like that, and we came into contact. And because when that split had come out, they were on tour, Days and Days. They that was obviously leading up to an album coming out at the end of the year. Conversation with the Creation. So I was like, Paul, I'm down to run distro for you guys in the States, and we can just work out a deal. So I became really tight with the Night Gaunts. So then when it came time for that record to get pressed, I was there to help with the distro. And after pushing to get the label's actually name and catalog number on it, we just considered it a release. And I had sent out a good majority. If you have that record, chances are I had sent it to you or at least folded it. I think I did like 40 of 400 of the 50 records that ended up getting sent out, and people still to this day hit us up about it. And I'm like, I even like I was falling on some hard times with just paying off the label and just financial problems. I actually ended up selling my test press version of the record, which was my only personal copy. So I don't even have a copy of it now.
I don't even have one either. I think this record has like my favorite Days and Days song, which is Nights and Days. That song is so
That's a
fucking
good.
good. So good.
So there, I've heard talks. I don't want to say anything, but people have been talking about hopefully repressing that. I don't know if we'll be involved or not, but there's chances are it's Days and Days. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, active folk punk band right now. People are going to be wanting to press that because there's definitely people who want it. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's all I'll speak onto that.
All right, the next one that I want to talk about, Renegade Space Rock. How the fuck did you get that J card done?
Oh God. So hi Chris, if you're listening. Matt Conductor is very he very much likes his music and art to be presented a certain way, right? So those of you who don't know about Renegade Space Rock, the album art for that album traditionally was this giant 2 foot by 8 foot mural. So because a lot of people, if you've only ever seen the download or the digital version, it's just a square, but that album art folds out into a giant mural. So he wanted he wanted that to translate into the J card. So the thing is with the J card, you had to take some liberties with the actual artwork. So I had spent, and the other thing is how massive that art piece was and how massive that J card was. It took so long with my god awful computer at the time to format the J card so that the entire art like fit. And there was weird parts that I had to cut, and there's weird parts that I had to blend together. And it took I spent probably 10 or so hours just photoshopping that J card to make sure it looked good, because I wanted obviously all of the art to fit, and I wanted the J card fold to be, the I think it's a lemur or like a monkey in the claw. Obviously I wanted that as the like that to be on the front cover, because like that's like the part of the album that everyone knows. So I had spent all that time, folding out the J card. It was funny is those J cards were so expensive to print. It would have been cheaper to wrap the tapes in dollar bills and then just sent it like that.
It looks fucking phenomenal though.
I think it was definitely worth it.
Yeah. And this was a cassette store day release for 2016, I
Yeah,
think.
that was the first cassette store day release we ever did. And to speak on that, we no longer do cassette store day releases because Burger Records is a bunch of fucking pieces of shit. I think we still, I don't know if we still called it fuck cassette store day, but we just release a cassette. So the other thing we do on cassette store day was it was called the baggy split, and we've done 4 of them so far, and that was between our buddy Slade's label, Captain Kirk Records, our buddy Josh's label, Blade Records, No Time, and then there's like a fourth guest label every year. And what it is we all take one song from a band on our roster, put it on this tape, and then sell them for like super cheap. And instead of a case, it's in a baggie, like a plastic bag, with
Hence the name.
my buddy Josh calls an I card, which imagine it's like a J card minus like the fold part. And I remember like looking up a template for an I card, and I was like, I think he made this up. But it's fun. I like doing it. It's really cheap. It's a cool way to just, because the other thing with Captain Kirk and Blade Records is our releases are so different from each other. We're so on different ends sonically. It's cool to be able to like find like common ground with this, and like people can check out completely different music than from what they're used to.
Friends of the pod also.
Yeah, and I definitely, regardless of whatever No Time becomes in the next couple of years, I will always do the baggy split with those guys as long as they want to do it. I don't care. We could be like the size of fucking like Relapse Records. I'm gonna do the fucking baggy split every year. I don't give a shit.
Slade actually said he wanted to be on the podcast.
We'll get him on. We owe him. We were on his.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also, question: do you still have that sledding with Tiger shirt?
I do.
All right. The next album, Never Mind the Ballads, Blackbird Realm.
So I was really excited about that because at the time that was like one of the largest bands that we had worked with, and I just remember being friends with the recording player Zach on Facebook, and I kind of pestered him a bunch to like do a tape version of it because they didn't do a physical release of it at all. I think a 7-inch was planned under Silver Sprocket, but it fell through. But that's their dealings, not mine. But I was just like, it's like that the artwork can fit on a tape. Let me do a tape. And I kept bugging him. I think I made memes about it, and then Zach was like, all right, make the tape. And I was like, sick. I was so excited. That was also when like we had started kind of figuring out how to make a cassette tape. That was the first time we ever did 100 tapes. So it was just like so much work. We did blood splatter on like a white tape, and then we put a red label over it. And I really like how it was presented. First time
the label's white.
Yeah, it was a white label with it was like the ink
red
was red
text, yeah.
And then on the back of the tape was just the Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton heads, like bloody red. So it looked like they were bleeding out onto the tape.
Yeah.
I was just really excited because Blackbird Rome was also like, that was a band I saw like in a large venue, and I was like, oh shit, they're like working with me now. And I was like so surreal to be able to do that.
Yeah, I remember seeing them with Leftover Crack, I think.
Yeah, Leftover Crack. They did a couple tours with them, and then they did a tour with Anti-Flag, Leftover Crack, Blackbird Rome.
And you repressed this, right?
Yeah, we did a second press. Blackbird Rum hit me up, and they're like, hey, let's do this again. I was like, all right. They're like, we run our own merch now, and we need shit to sell. And I was like, all right, hell yeah, I like that tape. Let's do it again. So it's cool because it's like the two different versions. It's like you would definitely tell, like, oh yeah, this is the like updated the logo on it. I didn't have any of the original art saved because that was like 2 computers ago. So I had to like go through emails find like this files that I had like sent out to get printed, and then I was able to
Yeah,
fix it and adjust it. But yeah, that was I was happy to do that again.
yeah. Also, it says you only got one left. Also, shout out to Punk with a Camera for supporting. I'm seeing him right now. It says right there, Punk with a Camera, supported by.
uh, to be actually, I was going through the distro case today. You know the checkerboard suitcase.
Uh-oh, you gotta update it or
I
what?
found two more.
Oh, so
Let me
now there's three?
yeah, let me do it right now.
All right. I'm just gonna close this tab.
Yeah, so if you guys wanted one, there's only three left.
Damn.
I hope someone buys it hearing it now.
All right, first LP, Caffeines and Peabodies.
That was to me that was a special release because it was the first vinyl record we ever did, and I was a huge fan of Caffeines before like doing it, so it was cool. I actually had met Andrew, their drummer, who also runs Swamp Cabbage Records, who to me is probably one of the most important people I met for like label things. Definitely taught me a lot about like how to run a distro and like like you can like trade with labels. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, like, you could just trade your shit with other labels. Because I had bought a bunch of stuff from Swamp Cabbage because he did a lot of mystery 7-inch bundles, which is what I used to
Yeah.
lose my shit over. Fucking love doing those. And I think I had messaged them on the Facebook page because it was like, oh, leave a note of like certain genre you like, and I was like, oh, I didn't leave a note. And I was like, oh, I want to tell them I want like hardcore power violence and folk punk, and then I messaged the page. And I was like, hey, my name's Tommy. I bought this mystery bundle. Can you throw some like PV or like folk punk stuff you got? And he's like, yeah, of course. And then with on Facebook, it says like your top job that you have. And I had set my Facebook page to say I was like whatever at No Time Records. He's like, tell me about your label. And I was like, oh, it's like this, like, make tapes and stuff. And he's like, it's like, we had like talked like through like the Swamp Cabbage page and then my personal page. And we just talked about like, you like checked out the stuff. He's like, I like what you're doing and all that. And I was like, like, would you want to like trade records or whatever? And I was like, it's like a thing people do. He's like, yeah. So like we sent each other our, I made a trade list of like what I had for trade, which at that point was like Blackbird Rum, the first Corrupt Vision demo, and like, oh, not even. Oh, well, that would have been like probably like all the early shits, like Three Back Habit or Utter Profunda, because that was probably like mid 2016. So,
Yeah.
and I just hit it off with Andrew, and we became good friends to the point of like, when Cafe was funny. They were flying to California to play this festival in San Diego called Awesome Fest. But I was 19 at the time. I couldn't go to Awesome Fest because you had to be 21 because it was all in bars. So I didn't actually get to see the Caffeines until years later when I went out to Fest in Florida.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So we ended up, I took him out for lunch, and we like went to Moldy Toes Records, which is a record store near Fern and I, and we just like looked at records together and like talked and shit, and like that's how I met the band. I was like, I didn't go to a show or anything. We just talked. And then years later, Andrew's actually the one that picked me up in Orlando. And then we stayed at his house going to Fest. And I feel bad because I kept him up all night talking about records when he's like, he's in law school. So he had to do homework. Like it's constant homework and reading for him. But like him and I would just wanted to keep talking about label shit because I don't really get to do that with a lot of different people because a lot of different, it's always band stuff. It's never label shit. And I was just so excited to like, see like the Swamp Cabbage headquarters and shit. It was cool seeing like what he does and just super influential to like me and what I do with the label. But I was honored and stoked to help him put out that record with Peabody's, which I think I have a handful left. Traded more from him a couple years ago, so we got a couple of that record left. But that's just fun little power pop. Oh, it's the sides are wrong. The fucking plant fucked up.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I was put on the caffeine side. I was like, this does not sound like Lance.
The weird thing is that that happens a lot more than you'd expect.
And you can't do shit about it.
Yeah, you kind of just deal with it.
And the thing is like, I know the surefire way to make sure it doesn't happen, I think, is if you put an A and B somewhere on the labels, but we didn't do that because it was a band.
Yeah.
So you just put the band name, but it sucks. It's kind of a mark on the first vinyl release we ever like properly did.
Yeah.
It was cool, and I was very happy to be part of it.
All right. Since we're talking about caffeines, you want to talk about the first double cassette?
Yeah, our first double tape, which
self-titled and No Gods and No Decaf.
So that
By the caffeine?
So that was supposed to be a Cassette Store Day release for, I believe, 2017. And it just got delayed indefinitely. And we didn't end up putting out, I think, until like the summer of 2018.
That is literally a year.
Yeah, I had, it was supposed to come out in October of 2017, and I don't think we got it ready till July of 2018. The reason why was I was worried about the duplicator not duplicating correctly. And I was still trying to find a better one. And the sheer amount of tapes that it was, I didn't have enough time to make them because my old duplicator was only 1-to-1.
Yeah.
So I had to make, we did 50 of them, so I had to make 100 of these long tapes. And Andrew didn't really seem too bummed about missing the date, and no one was hitting us up about them. And then it finally just was like, I had the duplicator that I have now, the 1-to-3, and I was like, fuck it, just making these, just getting it done. I think it was just a lot of production delays on it on my end, but we finally got it out, and that was really cool because I really liked how a double tape set looked.
Yeah, it looks super, super nice.
So kind of hard to like, we just did that like album art for each one. It was kind of hard to make that like a digital album art for it, so I just put the 2 albums that it is. But I was gonna say that our second double tape is coming out June 5th. We did a full 15-year discography for our friends from the UK called Rash Decision. And it's this, they already sold out of the copies that we had sent them. They had sold them just like on Facebook. They announced it, and then he's like, and they're gone. It was like 20 minutes, and he sold like all 20 of them. And I was like, oh shit. And he had kept telling me, he's like, hey, we should probably do 100. And I was like, I don't know. Because like priced out, it was a double tape. So obviously it's going to be more expensive. And also because it's, 15 years worth of music, each tape had to be incredibly long. So like the whole project was going to cost me like $500. And I was like, I don't want to spend that right now.
Holy shit.
So I had to like keep going. I was like, oh, let's just do 50. Because the other thing is like, I'll make like 100 tapes and then just sit on them. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So we made 50, and then, we worked out whatever deal that we worked out. And, he sold out of the half that I had sent him. And he's like, yeah, can you send me more? And I was like, can I try selling them first? But
can I give it a shot?
Can I give it a shot? So yeah, June 5th, we'll release it digitally, and we'll have them up for Bandcamp Day. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Rash Decision, it's an 82 song album, and the last track is just a full set list.
Yeah, it's a full. So it's funny with that album. All I was supposed to do was that final cut, that like final live album.
Yeah.
Like, because I become friends with their Dave, their main guy, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do tape for you guys. And he's like, yeah, you want to do this live tape? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, hey, what about an album collection? He's like, yeah. I was like, what about
Uh-oh.
And I was like, and it was like, and then I was like, and then, well, what about these EPs? And then what about this early demo? And then what about this? So just like, fuck it, everything.
I just kept building up and building up.
It kept building. I was like, I guess we're doing a double tape. And then I was like, oh, gotta see how long it is. And I was like, hey, congrats, Dave. We're doing a double tape.
I like Rash Decisions.
I do too. They're don't wanna jinx us or anything, but if Corrupt Vision, if the world is at least in some form of quote unquote normal, post COVID, we should be going out to the UK next spring, and Rash Decision had agreed to tour support us out there, which I'm very thankful for.
All right, up next, fucking Dollar Signs. Yikes. This is one of my favorite fucking albums that we've ever put out. I love everybody, but holy shit, this record is insane.
Yikes to me is, I think, one of. I was actually playing Fortnite with Dylan, the bassist of Dollar Signs, a couple nights ago. I play Fortnite. It's fun.
I remember you fucking texting me. He's like, "Hey, dude, do you want to play Call of Duty with Dylan from
Dollar Signs?"
And I was like, "Dude, it's 1 a.m. I need to go to bed."
It was funny. We played Call of Duty, and it was really miserable because we were playing Warzone, and it was just like, "Oh, this takes forever, and it's so drab and whatever." And then we hop on Fortnite. The first game we played together, we got the victory royale. we were just flying. We're like, "Fuck it. We're gonna stop now." Top of the leave while we're ahead.
Yeah.
But we had worked with Dollar Signs before, and Dollar Signs was for a time the most important band in my life. Yikes! The initial release of that album came out at such a pivotal and important and like scary, weird time for me, and I owe so much to that record that I don't want to get into. But to have the ability to not only reissue that, but also Mythlies and Hypocrites at the same time was mind boggling to me, because Mythlies and Hypocrites is one of my all time favorite albums, and Yikes being that so important to me, that like being able to, I was like, fuck that. At that time I was like, fuck, this label is something, you know. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm working with my favorite bands of all time, and it's so like casual, like it's a first name basis, you know.
Yeah. And actually, first Myths, Lies, and Hypocrites was actually a little later on than the list. So I'm just gonna close that tab right now, as we talked a little bit about that. But yeah, Yikes is one of my favorite
they're
fucking
they're right on top of each
albums.
other on Bandcamp, so I saw Myths and I was like, oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, they are.
I wonder if anyone ever notices how haphazard the catalog numbers are. Generally, how the catalog system works is if I agree to a release, I give it a catalog number. They're not in order. They used to be in order chronologically, and then I think I put out something that fucked that up. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna try to like change catalog numbers around. It's like your album comes out in a year, or your album comes out in a month. It's whatever catalog number I gave you.
Yeah.
So generally, there's a progression, but coming up, there's going to be some stuff that should have been released. You know, there's some stuff in like, no, there's nothing between 1 and 100. Foolish's album was the last one to fill that spot. So, and speaking of No Time 100, that's another whole nother topic.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms.
That's a whole nother. We'll Patreon
Just
exclusive.
donate $100 and you get to hear the story about
No Time 100.
for 100. Yeah. Do you want to talk about International Incident? You want to skip that?
Let's talk about that, because that was the first time that you took the reins on a project.
Oh yeah, I got like a majority of the bands. So I commissioned Catspit to do the art, and he sent me an image. And he's like, "Hey, dude, this is what I'm working on." It was like a drawing, like a hand drawing. So he always draws, and then he scans it. And then I was like, "Oh, cool, he's gonna do that." So he was hand drawing everything. It's like an alien, like holding a skull. I have no idea what the fuck is happening in that photo. I need to know more. I need to know the backstory of that skull. Why is it on fire too? It's I love the art. It's so fucking good. So here's the thing. He told me, I will give you the art, because I told him, like, hey dude, we're ready to release this. We got everything. We just need the art. And he was like, all right, I'll give it to you. And then he took a picture of it and he was like, when do you want this? And I was like, can't you scan it? He was like, it's a painting. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean it's a painting? So he literally painted the entire thing on, and he couldn't take a high quality picture of it, and he couldn't scan it. So for like a show, I think it was a show that either we played or he was just hosting or he just happened to be there, he gave it to me and I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna digitize this? So when we were on tour, I didn't have time to do the art because we were like playing shows and shit, but we had a day off when we were at Slade's house. And then I remember telling you, Tommy, I was like, dude, I gotta get this shit done. I fired up fucking Photoshop and I took a photo. You were like on my phone.
You in like Slade's room, something like trying to get light.
I was in his living room. No, I was in his living room trying to get enough light, and I was like, dude, there's no fucking light in here. So I went into the kitchen and I was like, it's too yellow. And I had a really bad phone at the time. So the album art that you see is a fucking photo of my phone, but I touched it up on Photoshop. Like I flattened all the colors, and it looks like a painting, but it looks like it's digital. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But like if you look at the text, like the International Incident, you could see
light.
Yes, you see the light.
The glare.
You see the light. You see the glare, but you also see the texture of the canvas.
I remember we had the fucking painting the whole tour.
Yeah, I still have it. It's I have it hanging up on top of my desk.
Like,
that thing is so fucking cool. The amount of effort that he put to make that album art is fucking phenomenal.
He is a talented, and I mean a talented graphic artist. He is.
Fuck it, we'll put him on the podcast too. Everybody's going on the podcast. So yeah, this is just like 10 American bands, 10 Japanese bands, but we actually had to take off one of the bands, Crab Legs, because their guitarist was a rapist piece of shit. So it was actually originally 21 songs, but now it's 20, and it kind of fits a little better that way.
Unfortunately, Anno Records had already made the CDs with the Crab Legs song on them.
Yes, that is
And
true.
we
Yeah.
got, I guess, I don't want to say lucky because that's I feel a gross understatement of the abuse of their guitarist, but we didn't make the tapes at the time, so it was easy enough for us to just go, all right, fuck off.
Yeah, so we got super lucky there. And I have been meaning to do more international incident. I want to do one like every year, but I didn't want to get it in the way of No Time for Fun. But like
Yes,
I
and
just
then
never got along, just never got to it.
so with also with it, well, now that we're not doing what do you know about ska punk, at least not releasing it anymore, and that's not there's no drama between us, and just they just we kind of separated from that project, and I'd taken such a back seat on that project that I just kind of just toss them a Corrupt Vision song, and then they put us on it, and totally happy with that. And plus they handled it and did all the art, so for us it was just putting our name on it because they wanted to have us support it. But it's cool that they're on their own. But now that we only really have one comp series yearly, I think we should probably find a good time to do International Incident. That's not on the tails of what do you know about or No Time for Fun. What
Yeah.
did you want to always just do it with Japanese labels, just with Anon Records, or did you want to branch out and do it with another international label?
That was the second one. That was the original idea, to have them alternate between like America or like the United States and different international labels. And I did want to do one with Satanic Geek Mafia and then maybe like Unknown Records or Pumpkin Records or some shit.
Yeah,
But I just never got around to
yeah.
it.
Well, we got it. We can bring it back. We got
Yeah. Sorry. School is kind of slightly just a wee bit more important to me.
um. I think the
So
next record, unless you got something slotted up,
no, you go.
love to talk about Fissure, NTR 101.
Damn, that dude, shut the fuck up. That was
Is
that
your
was
next one?
literally yeah, that was my next
The
one.
next one. I thought the next one was gonna be Bandit, but
No, that's next. Yeah, the
yeah,
UCLA, live at
uh,
UCLA.
that was great because Fissure, I love that band, and I grew up. Not, I didn't grow up, but I had seen them years prior, and they were such an intense band live, and I thought they were like one of the biggest bands locally, and I was like, oh, they'll never want to work with me. And I saw that they put out that live tape, and I had like commented on the Facebook page. I was like, would you guys want a tape of this?" And like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Oh, here's like this label I run. I'd love to do a tape of it." And they're like, "Yeah, dude, that'd be really cool." So Leo, their guitarist, had obviously is a great graphic artist and artist in general, and he mocked up a J card, and we released it. And to me, that was really cool because that was like tail end of 2018, and the first No Time release that was catalog past 100, and to me that was a big deal because I was like, I've done 100 releases.
Yeah,
I was like, we've passed that, and to me, like, I never thought we'd get past 25. So to like have that tape specifically, I was like, this is 101. I was like, we're just doing it. Like, fuck it, we're going for it. That was just kind of surreal of like, oh fuck, like 100 releases under this label. And I thought, we'd put out a couple CDs and fizzle out, but we're just still going.
and it's Fissure. Like Fissure
It's
is
like,
super fucking good. They are one of the best like SoCal power violence bands.
oh yeah, for sure. And live, oh, phenomenal. So just a treat to watch. Every member of Fissure looks like they can kill you in a different way.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Drummer Dylan, who is a professional weight trainer,
Yeah,
also the nicest man in the world, but his arms are huge. He
yeah.
is a strong man.
Also, I love Fissure's fucking song titles on this thing.
Oh, they're great. I want all the songs to be about rims.
You're in Weed, California. Chill the fuck out. I fucking the last song is like hands down like my favorite. You got into Infest 2 months ago. You must be some sort of hardcore aficionado. Like holy
they
fucking
they do the
shit.
mix of like the jokey power violence song titles and then like the really depressing power violence song titles.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
it's so
fucking
good.
just great. And then Oscar, the lead singer, is a black belt, and like I don't want to get this wrong. I know it's one of the intense ones.
I think it's
I think
Muay Thai, isn't it?
it's either Muay Thai or Jiu Jitsu.
It's one of those two.
He can fucking kill you.
He's probably hunting us down right now, getting it wrong.
You just hear. I know you're in there,
oh, shit.
Oscar.
I'm sorry. All right. Do you want to talk about either Chosen Family or Grind Killers?
Talk about both. Chosen Family, burn, burn, burn. My dad, Drew Smith, one of the most helpful people to the label right now.
Yeah,
Burn Burn Burn. That to
Tiny
me,
Dragon.
Chosen Family, I think is Burn 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 playing their music the best. That is such a phenomenal fucking pop punk record. Not even pop punk, just punk in general. That to me is one of
Yeah.
my favorite releases.
I saw them when they were playing a Seattle Pop Punk Festival. They are fucking amazing. They are so good live. Or they were so good live.
I saw them at yeah, they unfortunately broke up this year. I saw them live at Fest for the first time. It's funny that like I had to fly to the other end of the country for us to see them.
Yeah, to fucking see Burn Burn Burn.
Yeah, but it was the second time meeting Drew because we had played previously up with the solo project as Insomniac Collective.
Yeah.
But Burn saw them play. To me, they had the most heart out of every band that I saw play at the entire festival because it was such a big opportunity from them, being that they were on the other side of the country and they had worked their ass off to like do this, you know. And to me, I was like, they played like they wanted to be there. You know,
Yeah.
they played the absolute hardest that I feel like they had probably ever played. Put so much energy into the performance. They did a cover of oh, I don't want to get it wrong. It was a Blink 182 song. It wasn't Damn It. Oh, it might have been Damn It. They just did like a great pop punk cover at the end. Everyone was singing along. Drew was in the crowd getting the oh my god, it was like, and they played at probably the worst. That's the other thing, is they played at probably one of the worst times you could. They
What time?
played Sunday at like 9:45
PM?
p.m.
Oh yeah. Oh, on a Sunday. Yeah.
So what happened? Oh, it might have been Sunday at like 10:15. So they played like one of the last slots on the last day. And the thing with Fest, what everyone was telling me, it was like, all right, everyone cruises in Friday. You know, Friday night, that's like where the good, you know, some good stuff happens. Saturday, fucking everything goes hard. That Saturday is everyone's there, full force. That's when all the locals are there. You know, that's like when all the big shit's happening. That's all the secret shows. You know, people are out partying that night. And then Sunday morning hits and everyone's a little tired from if they had been pre-festing, you know, they've already been doing that shit for 4 days. People are just generally tired from being out for 2 nights straight drinking. And then a lot of people just kind of end up leaving Gainesville. You know, some people have to go back to work on Monday, so they might take a half day Sunday and then fly out. So Sunday night is definitely the worst time. Plus, then when you're playing a smaller venue, you're going to be fighting like the larger bands, and for a lot of people, it's like, well, I'm still here. I'm going to go see, you know, the big band. So they had played probably one of the worst times you can get a fest, and they still played their heart out. I was just super impressed with them, and I was so thankful that I was able to do that tape, and Drew being so supportive of Fern and his band Corrupt Vision, to the point of helping us release our previous vinyl record, which was so cool to be considered a Tiny Dragon band, you know.
And I do want to have Drew on the podcast so he
Oh,
could
I
talk
love
about
that
his
Drew,
label.
dude. Drew, he can talk forever. He's a great guy.
His releases are fucking insane.
Yeah, Drew is he was the last original member of Burn Burn Burn. That band had been around for 10 years.
Yeah, I do want to ask him about that 8-track, but we'll get to
Okay.
that when he gets on. Grind Killers, Bandit,
Oh my god.
104.
104.
Oh
Oh my,
god, dude, I fucking love Bandit so much.
so originally I was trying to put this tape out for them when they were doing a tour with Fissure, and it was going to be like a tour tape for them because I really liked Bandit, and they just never sent me the tracks. And then I gave Jack my email to, like, you know, give me the access to like a Google Drive with all the audio, and he mistyped it, and he just never sent it because he mistyped my email. So what I did was I just generated, and they were like busy doing a bunch of stuff, so I had just generated my own email with the mistype.
Oh my god.
Got access to the Google Drive that he had sent, downloaded all of the music, did all of the layout myself, put it all together, sent them to tapes, and then when we released it, it sold out in like a day. And that was the first time I'd ever done a tape that like sold out that quickly.
It's a great. Okay, it's a collection of like splits and stuff that they've done and like EPs.
It's all of the music that Gene is singing on.
Yeah. So, and with that,
minus Warsaw.
Since it's a collection of things, you couldn't just use one single album art because it's like too many releases. Why this cover?
So they had
explain this.
So they had posted it. I think a friend of theirs had made it, and then they did a long sleeve of that design. And I was like, well, that'd be a perfect name for the fucking album. because like
Yeah.
usually with catalog, you call it discography or whatever. But even though it technically wasn't a discography tape because their newest album wasn't on it, we did a separate tape of that, and that's
Warsaw.
yeah, and then that's not even all of their music because this is only the stuff that Gene is singing on. And I was like, fuck it, let's just do the straight, we'll do the straight '90s hip hop, the gaudy bling era, album art design because you already
Pen and Pixel. Pen and
yeah,
Pixel.
pen and pixel design. So every tape release, we gave it like a hip hop kind of trope. Every tape variant. So the first one we did Cash Money Green, and then the label was dollar bills, and then we did a gold brick, and the label looked like gold.
Yeah.
And then for the repress, we did a purple tape that was like lean and like it's like purple. And then we did a clear tape, and that was the diamond one.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to message them about doing it again. I've had some other concepts. I think we're gonna do like a gunmetal one, and it's gonna look like a gun. But I'll have to message them and see if they want more tapes and see if people still hitting them up for them. Because even the repress sold out, not as quick, but sold out. And I was like, damn, people really like this.
So what sold quicker? Not like we're comparing bands or whatever, but this or the Denny's tape.
So the Denny's tape's a little unfair because there was less, but that and its repress sold out so quick. Oh my god. To the point of like me, Destructo Music, and Wacko were all surprised. So much so that we obviously repressed it, and Wacko really enjoyed the tape and really enjoys the shit that we've been doing for him, which is really great. But yeah, that Denny shit was it was a fun tape to do. I know we're thinking about repressing it, so we'll keep you guys in the loop if we do. But yeah, it's always, I'm really thankful when tapes sell out because it's cool. Like, of one, I don't have to worry about it. Two, it's like cool, I have this money to play with, and like I can immediately fund other stuff that I want to see done with the label. So it's really nice when I'm not stuck sitting on a tape.
Yeah. All right, I got two more.
Yeah, two more out of what? It's 50 some releases.
Fucking 100 something.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about Livid or the Gets Worst? Because Gets Worst was that's like snubbed is like critically acclaimed.
Gets Worse was cool. I became friends with this record label, and I'm gonna mispronounce it, even though when I met the guy who runs it, he told me how to pronounce it. I'm gonna get it wrong, but Koshnia Records from Germany. My buddy Fabi runs it. Him and I started trading tapes. I think he wanted some Bandit stuff, and I was checking out his stuff, and he was doing a Gets Worse tape, and I was like, oh fuck, I really like Gets Worse. And I was like, oh fuck, I'd love to put that out in the States. So he had introduced me to their drummer, and then I was just like, hey, this is the label I do, work with these bands, yada yada yada. I'd love to put you guys out. And he's like, yeah, dude, of course. So I mocked up the J card, and we were able to release it together, and that was really dope. Because to me, I was like, fuck, like we did Bandit. Because the other thing was like, I was like, are people ever gonna take No Time seriously in the hardcore grind PV scene? Because we've been doing a lot of more pop punk and folk punk stuff, and Loathing was like the first power violence band that we'd ever released, and I was super stoked to do those two tapes for them. Unfortunately, they broke up before the tape could even be done, so we kind of released that posthumously, and then really not until next like proper grind release, and then Chafa, and then Ursula, Nosebleed, and then now we've worked out more and more grindcore. But yeah, Gets Worse is great, and to me, I was so excited to do that tape because I just fucking, that's such a great album.
Yeah, it is an amazing record.
So what Livid was pretty crazy. So they hit me up because they wanted to book a show in Orange County. And I was like, all right, dope. I love doing the Power Round shows. And we could get Livid on, and we'll talk about kind of our history together, because we're gonna be working with Livid really heavy in the future. And I don't wanna say something too early, but if you follow both bands, you probably know what's happening. You follow kind of people in the scene, you know what's happening with them and what we're doing with them. But so I booked them the show. They just put out Life is Pain, Life is Shit. I've been out for a little bit, and I was like, fuck, this is a really good album. I was like, hey, can I do your tape? I'll send you guys, we'll work out a deal, send you guys copies, whatever. I was like, yeah, cool. Sent them their tapes. They sold out, and I was like, dope. When they came through again, when they played our show, gave them the rest of the tapes. They sold out before they got home, and I was like, fuck. And then they had already sold out another run of 50 tapes that a buddy had did for them. So I was like, fuck, they sold out 100 tapes like super fucking quickly. And
Yeah.
when we played our show, I don't want to get too much into it, but it was the best show we had ever thrown, door money wise.
Yeah.
It was so insane. And it to me, that show, if we ever get Livid on, we'll talk about it. But yeah, the Life is Pain, Life is Shit. Livid is, I think, one of the hardest working bands in the scene right now. If COVID didn't hit, that was like one of the first bands that I'd ever met where they were on tour talking about booking the next tour.
Weren't they going to go on tour with Pig City?
They're supposed to go on tour with Pig City in March, and then a little tour with a band called Snubbed Out, I forgot. And then they're supposed to be doing a large U.S. tour, and they were supposed to be playing No Time for Fun Fest Volume 6, which right now is not happening in June, obviously. Will more than likely, we're attempting to move it to sometime in October, if it can happen. If it can't happen, unfortunately, it's just not going to happen this year. We're going to try to keep the same lineup, push it towards next year. But that's kind of the if anyone's wondering what's happening with No Time for Fun Fest, that's the deal. So that's the gist of it. And I should probably actually make a post that it's officially postponed. I mean, if it's safe, I mean, Orange County's opening up as it is, regardless of what I or you or anyone feels about it. It's opening up. So I think definitely
it's best not to just deal with it.
I think it's best to just not risk anyone's health and our sanity, and just, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the fall's like, but be prepared for no time for fun, which I'm really bummed about because it was great. But we'll talk about festivals and stuff. We'll talk about shows later. But yeah, Chill Out and Die Later, Stupid Henchman. If you want to end on that one.
Yeah, let's end on that one.
Anyone who's ever met me and us in general, we will talk about how much we love the Stupid Henchmen. They are, to me, I think, the quintessential crack rock steady band. What they've done with that genre and how they play ska and how they make music is so unique and a little off kilter, and a little just that's the word I'm looking for. Chet's, how he writes lyrics, how he makes music, how he blends genres together is so insane to listen to. And if you're like a ska fan and you listen to the Stupid Henchmen, they'll blow your mind. Absolutely blow your mind of what they do with the genre. I think definitely they I think have surpassed Crack Rock Steady, and I think they are just flat out one of the best like punk bands of all time.
Hands down.
They're I'm so freaking excited to release Car Bombs Are Cool and Charmingly Demonic this week. But the Chill Out and Die Later was the first release we did of theirs proper, and it was funny is because it was delayed for like a year after the release, just because Chet unfortunately didn't have time to. He had to essentially redraw and like re-edit the J card for the album, and he finally sat down and did it. And I was so hyped on that tape, especially because I just love how it looks, and just it's such a good album in my opinion. It's one of my favorite albums of the previous decade.
Also, shout out to Slade for supporting it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, he I think he picked it up because I mean obviously he loves. I told him that Chet had worked for Adult Swim on Ugly Americans a Fox show, Super Jail, and he's
Comedy Central.
He's a big fan. He did a Fox show too. I forgot which one. Ugly Americans was Comedy Central. He did a show for Fox. I forgot what. Great artist. Do you have any? What's your take on the Henchmen?
They are the fucking best, and I think we should save our thoughts on the Henchmen on the Crack Rock Steady genre.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about that?
Because they'll figure it out. They'll figure out what that means. But yeah, the Henchmen, hands down, one of my favorites. Huge influence on me, especially like how I write music and how I like, especially even like folk, like because it was so fucking weird. Because remember that Insomniac Collective tour we were doing?
Yeah, and Chet had texted me. He's like, "Hey, can we hop on your Washington shows?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're all taking a road trip right now. We got our guitars. Can we play your shows?" And I was like, "Yes." So I had messaged both promoters, and I was like, "Hey, we're adding a band. Is everyone cool with that?" They're like, "What?" And I was like, "It's a Henchman." They're like, "Yes." So we got to book the first ever Henchman West Coast shows. which were these acoustic shows that they did. And it was so surreal being able to just like you and me, just like, oh my God, we're watching this stupid henchman 1,000 miles away from home right now in the middle of
Yeah.
fucking Olympia, Washington. It was just so, that to me was like such a, that was also one of those moments of like, oh my God, this is some surreal shit. We're fucking doing it, right? Like I think people, it's funny is people think No Time is bigger than it is. We're just a bunch of dumbass young adults trying to figure out this shit like as we go, you know? I
Yeah.
remember someone messaging me. I was like, "Hey, do you guys like have internships?" And I'm like, "It's just me." I don't know what to.
Good.
I don't know what to tell you. You want to come over and fold some tapes? Like that's it.
Go to the 7-Eleven and get me a Diet Dr. Pepper. That's
Go.
go get college. That's your college credit right
You're
there.
gonna see a man. His name's Fern. You gotta tell him the password. He's gonna.
Oh
He's
God,
gonna. It
what was the password that I told your kids to tell me?
wasn't Choco Milk, was it?
Uh, I do not fucking remember, but that's oh man. Yeah, those were a couple of releases that I personally like all the releases that we have, but those were more of like the more notable ones, I would say, for the label. Like for
Outside of the No Time for Fun series, probably some like key what's the word I'm looking for? Milestones.
yeah,
Because the thing with like I don't think there's with No Time, there's no single release that I think we have that it's like, oh fuck, this is like, that was that was like we found this band and put them out. Like to me, I think it's definitely just been a solid growth. I don't think we've had a single like we don't have a Bleach, a Nirvana Bleach, like we don't have like the oh, this label put it out. I think we just have a solid lineup of just albums that we honestly at the end of the day, we put out music we like, right?
yeah. We're all fans of the
Yeah,
bands that we put out and like we reissue and stuff.
like I want to put out a band I want to go see live, right? So that's there's no I've never looked at a band as like a monetary like opportunity. I've never looked at a release and go, oh, we're gonna make a lot of money off this. To me, it's just like I like it. I have the ability to do it. Let's do it. So people always ask like, how do you get on the label? How do you do this? And it's just like, do I like your band? Are you good people? Or do you want to be a band?
I always see like messages on like on the Facebooks like, "Hey, I'm a rapper from fucking
the mass send, the
like
mass.
Yugoslavia or some shit." Like, no, you're not getting on this fucking label.
The one that always gets me is like, did you not listen to any of the other bands? I mean, it's not like I wouldn't release, like we just put out a beat tape, and that's because I really like it. And the guy, James, who we put out, he's a huge supporter of No Time. And I was like, I like this album. I've always wanted to dip my toes into hip hop, and he's been such a good supporter of No Time. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna bring him onto the label. But yeah, I just I think if you look to, even if you want to get on not just No Time, but like any label in general, I can tell you right now the things that I look for is one, are you a dick? Do you competently record your music? Now, obviously, I'm not looking for like you don't need to go spend thousands of dollars in a studio, but like you can go to like a home studio and get a pretty decent recording, or you can even record it yourself and it sounds good. I just don't want to put out rough,
Yeah.
garage demos. And the second thing is like, do you give a shit that you're on the label? Do you give a shit about the other bands on the label? Are you going to want to support the label and the other bands as much as that we want to support you? And the other thing is like, do you want to be a band? I look for bands that want to be bands. They want to tour. They want to record. They want to press shit. They want to, play local shows every month. They want to tour, 2, 3, 4 weeks out of the year. Like that's the kind of shit I look for is like bands that want to be bands. They want to, they give a shit about their art and they give a shit about, playing. So that's, it's like, it's great that, you and your friends, want to get together and, record some music in your garage. But if you guys don't have the drive in you, it's like I would rather my time and energy and resources go towards a band that wants to do it. I know that's sometimes harsh for a couple of bands, and it's like you might be thinking that we're treating them unfairly and we're not giving them a chance. But like, if you want to do the band thing, you could do the band thing. Like look at us. We didn't have anyone holding our hands. We went out and we wanted to tour. We booked a tour. We played some shit tours, and we played some really great tours. And it's like you play some shit shows and you play some great shows. But I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing that I look for, and a lot of people that I know run labels look for, is your band tour. That is a big thing. If your band is not touring, a lot of times you'll get passed up. You could be one of the best bands in the world, but there, a lot of labels will put more time into a band that tours and gets out there and wants to, promote themselves, promote their music, and by proxy of that, promote the label, which they can promote bands and music.
Yeah.
So I think because a lot of times I always worry about like, do people like see me as like a product or like as a I don't want No Time to feel like a gatekeeping thing or like, oh, you're not shit if you're not on a label. Chances are if you play well and you're out there hustling, people are gonna notice your shit. And you just gotta fucking work for it. You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna hand you shit. You gotta put in the work. So that's my little 2 cents on getting on a label. And honestly, if you're like us and no one put you on, fuck it. Start your own label. Prove everyone wrong. Honestly.
Yeah, that's how we started.
And if I pass up on your band, honestly, the best thing I'd want for you is just to prove me wrong. Make me regret passing up on you, right? So let's fucking prove you wrong. Prove all the people who you're trying to, outdo. Prove them wrong. Start your own.
And that's why we're proving Alex Posca wrong by doing this fucking podcast
Alex
right
Posca,
now.
he's fucking him and Greg are like the two people I need to prove something to.
And I think Alex Posca is going to be on the next podcast. We're actually going to have guests on the next one. Alex Posca,
Pacific Nature, Pacific Plaza, Rift Mountain, Trucks Passing Trucks, DIY for Life, whatever the name of his folk punk band was.
Yeah, he won't tell us. He won't tell us the name of his folk punk band, but he'll be
Evening Recordings. Done a bunch of shit. Alex Posca is long story short, good friend of Fern and I, and the reason why we know anything we're doing right now.
Yeah, so expect him on the next one. And yeah, and with that, I think we are good for this episode.
June 5th, Bandcamp Day, releasing Stupid Henchmen, Car Bombs Are Cool, Demo 2020, and Charmingly Demonic, Rash Decision, 15 Years, and Standard Issue, those who've come before. Probably going to have some more distro up from Rad Girlfriend Records if it comes in time. Just keep on the lookout for that. We're going to be dropping stuff all through June and July. No Time for Fun Volume 6 is getting worked on right now, so make sure you guys keep a check out for that. Make sure you follow us at No Time Records OC, at NTR Presents, both of those on Instagram. Where's the YouTube channel? Just at No Time Records?
Just No Time Records.
No Time Records.
Make sure we get above 125 so we could surpass the other No Time Records.
Look for the logo. We're on Twitter at No Time Records OC. We're still not posting there. And then we're on Facebook at No Time Records OC. So search it. You'll find the logo.
And with that, thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
See you guys next week.